Hi, I'm David Wild. I'm a life, relationship, and spiritual coach and a licensed psychotherapist. I want to talk to you about some tools that you can use to heal your marriage or your intimate relationship, be it with your girlfriend or boyfriend or fiance, and equally useful for your in-laws, your parents, your kids, friends, your boss, or coworkers. Um, what we're talking about is the way you look at the world. What we're talking about is the way you perceive things. How you perceive things makes all the difference, because how you perceive things results in how you think about them. And how we think about things ends up resulting in how we feel, because thoughts almost always precede feelings. You think something and then you feel something as a result. So how you perceive something is going to affect what you think, which is going to affect how you feel, which is going to be what your experience is that you're left with. So we want to change our thinking. And I'm going to be using principles of something that's called A Course in Miracles to help, without going too much into the principles of the Course, but just enough to help you to get an idea of some tools you can use to help resolve marital problems, in-law problems, problems with your adolescent teenagers, or your best friend who you feel has betrayed you, or maybe your boss who's being impossibly difficult and disrespectful and not valuing you as an employee, to your mother-in-law who is unkind and disrespectful, or tells you what to do or how to raise your grandchildren. The effects are numerous of the kinds of tools that I'm going to hopefully impart to you. That's my goal. What I want to say is that we get stuck in our egos, our separate senses of who we are, and that causes us to stay in a loop of defending and attacking, defending and attacking. The Course in Miracles, essentially, the bottom line is that, from the perspective of a Course, is that we all are energy. We're all light beings. We're all parts of universal energy. That's what God is. God is nothing other than universal energy. You can call it love energy if you'd like, but it is peaceful oneness energy. God is not a being up there with a white beard that's judging us. God is the matrix of energy that exists in the cosmos, of which we are an integral part. Anything other than that notion is what gets us in trouble. And the ego gives us all of the problems that we could ever possibly want. The ego tells us that we're separate, that we're not part of things, that you and I are separate. And that causes what? It causes fear. And fear results in mental health problems. It results in addictions and compulsions, and it results in lots and lots and lots of drama in relationships. So the beginning, I'm going to start with the end and then work our way to the beginning, and just spend a few minutes with you today in this sort of primer on how to use the Course in Miracles to help you to resolve relationship issues. And I'm going to start with the end, because the end is where the truth is. The end of the Course, or the bottom line of the Course, how to use the Course in this world in which we think that we're all separate beings. We're not. We're all connected to a larger energetic entity. The goal is, and the tool is, and I'm going to use a simple word, so sit still and don't turn the channel, and please hear me out and try to understand that I'm going to use this word in a different way than you have used it in the past. Okay? I'm going to use it in a very different way. Forgiveness. Okay? Please hang in there. I'm not saying that forgiveness is condoning. This is not about condoning behavior. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. Forgiveness of who? Well, forgiveness of your spouse, forgiveness of your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, your children, your boss, that colleague that's always getting credit for your work. Forgiveness of yourself, ultimately, is the ultimate healing remedy for everything that ails you. But that goes beyond the scope of what I'm going to talk about right now. I want to say that everything in this world that we perceive, or almost everything, 99%, is illusory. Sorry, it's the truth. It's illusory. Most of what you see in this world is illusion. How can I expressed that to you? Well, if we look at another person, it looks as though the other person is separate, and they're not. If you look at a plane in the sky that's very, very far, as it dissolves into thin air, we would say the plane has disappeared. Years ago, you might have said that plane doesn't exist anymore. The same people that said the earth is flat would say that plane just disappeared. Well, we know now that the human eye only has the capacity to see so far, so we know the plane didn't disappear. The same way we know that the earth isn't flat because we can't see beyond the horizon. So there's a lot of things that are human eyes tell us that are inaccurate, and the same thing for our all of our five senses. They give us information that's not accurate, sort of like a compass that's not calibrated correctly, so it's not pointing you in the right direction. I want you to, if you wouldn't mind, put all your concepts on hold and just consider the possibility that the world is energy, that we are energy or light beings, and that we all put on bodysuits and then we're programmed to forget who we really were and really are. Again, the world is energy. We are light beings or beings of energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our feelings are energy. And we were programmed to forget that we put these bodysuits on, the suits that we call ourselves. We're not our bodies. We have to turn them in, just the same way that we have to turn in a car that's a rental property, a rental car, or even a beachfront condominium. We have to turn that in at the end of the summer. We have to turn our bodies in at the end of this lifetime. But that's not the end of our spiritual journey. It's not the end of our energy. So, where do we go from here? Well, from the perspective of A Course in Miracles, love is all there is. As in the words of the Beatles song, love is all there is. All there is love. And what I don't mean to be sounding cliche here, I'm defining love, or the Course is defining love a little differently than your precepts and what the dictionary might be saying. Not love as in I love you, which is maybe a part of it if you feel genuine, heartfelt love towards someone. But I'm talking love equals connection, love equals oneness, love equals bliss, love equals a sense of contentment, safety, and connectedness. That's what love is. Anything that's not love, we're going to call fear. And in every moment of your life, you have the choice of choosing whether to see a situation through the eyes of love, which means we're all connected and we're all the same. We're all a part of this matrix of energy, or through the eyes of fear. You and I are separate. That means you're either better than me or worse than me in some way. That means I may covet things you have, you may covet things I have. That means there may be judgments going on. That whole world is the world of ego, which is the world of fear, equals the world of separateness. How does this affect your relationships? Well, most of the things that we get into with our partners have to do with ego power displays and battles, ego battles. It's really the battle of the egos. Who's right or who's wrong? Mostly because usually someone's not feeling loved enough. Someone's not feeling valued enough. And those sorts of feelings get played out in the realm of the minutia more often than not. I'm not saying that there aren't legitimate arguments about meaningful topics, but I'm saying that the energy underlying most of what comes out as anger or withdrawal or addictive behaviors or compulsive behaviors in a marriage, underneath the shell of the skin of the onion is usually going to be some other feelings of separation, of not good enoughness, meaning shame, guilt, or fear. Fear, from the perspective of the Course, is simply the absence of feeling love. So anything that's not feeling connected is going to be defined, the way I'm discussing it now, as being in a state of fear. And so only love is real, says the Course. God is love, says the Course. God is not a man up there with a white beard that judges you for your thoughts, your behaviors, and the things that your behaviors, your thoughts, and your actions. God is a energy the universal energy of which we are a part, an integral part of. And anything that's not coming from a place of love is a misperception. So I'm hoping that you can suspend your other beliefs just to sort of embrace and contemplate the possibility that what I'm saying is true, that anything that's not, if love is the only thing that is, meaning a sense of unity and connection, unity and wholeness, anything else other than that is an illusion. That means that when we're not acting in a loving way, we're delusional. We're seeing illusion and we're delusional. We are thinking in a way that's not appropriate, that's not accurate. And so whenever your partner says or does anything that's unkind, not gentle, unloving, or fails to do something loving, kind, gentle, etc., you can choose. You have the ability. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but you have the ability to choose to see things differently. And that ability is to shift your perspective, and that's what a miracle is a shift in the way you see things. A miracle is defined by the Course in a perceptual shift. It produces dramatic results. When you begin to see that the things that your spouse or your partner or anyone else is doing are actually fueled by a sense of discomfort, a sense of disconnectedness. It frees you in two very important ways. Number one, it frees you to begin to see that those things are not personal. They have nothing to do with you. And if you look around, you'll notice that that person who's treating you in a certain way, more likely than not, is treating others in a similar way. Number two, it frees you to open up the door or window to begin to have some level of compassion for that person. Seeing them almost as though they were a little child in pain. With reference to the behavior, with reference to the unkind or untoward behavior. And what I want to say in that regard is that I am not in any way saying that you are to condone the behavior. I'm saying merely that you can view it as being fueled from a state of disconnectedness, not from a state of being sharp and accurate, and that all the words were accurate and true, and they knew what they were doing and they knew what they were saying. No, they were delusional. And so it frees you to have compassion if you choose to. You don't have to stay in the situation. If it's a work situation in which you're being treated abusively, I say do everything you can do to make the situation palatable. And if you can't, and if it's abusive, certainly get out. Get out. Find a way out, because we're not here to be treated badly. We're here to be happy. We're here to be happy. And so you can get out. There are other options. Sometimes you may have to wait for the right opportunity to get out if it's a work situation. In your marriage or with your family, it's not so simple. And what I'm suggesting is that you look at the world through the eyes of compassion, and that you experience something that very few people know how to do. It's the ultimate challenge for the human species, and that is forgiveness. When I say forgiveness, I want you to hold all thoughts, suspend your judgment about what that word means. I don't mean forgiveness as in condoning. Forgiveness is simply an overlooking. Because if I'm correct, as the Course says, all that really exists is love and connectedness and oneness, then anything else is delusional. And if that's all true, then anything else that anyone did, said, or didn't do or say or think that was negative, it's almost as though it didn't happen at all. Because if everything is love, then there's nothing left. There's no space left for things that are not love. They're delusions. It's like the person who treated you badly was, on some level, hallucinating when they treated you badly. On some level, they were hallucinating because of their disconnection from source energy, which what we might call God, spirit, source, God, goddess, all that is, whatever words you might use, Jesus, Moses, whatever words you might use for it that represent God, Abraham, whatever. Okay. So if that's true, that they were coming from a place of disconnectedness, if you go into judgment about them, what are you doing? You're becoming disconnected yourself. You're actually joining them in that sea of delusional thinking. And you're lowering yourself down into a place, into the muck, where you're not seeing straight either. What's the remedy? To see straight. How do we do that? We ask for a miracle. We ask for a miracle. What's a miracle? A miracle is a shift in the way we see things. Then we can say, we can have compassion for the mistaken behavior. Doesn't mean we stay in the situation, and it doesn't mean we don't set limits on it. Or, like I said, get out in some cases. But it does say that we view the situation through a different lens. Makes all the difference in the world. So this is just a very, very basic primer on the difference between reality and illusion, between the world of energy and the world of earthly, material things that don't have any relationship to each other. We need to see through our spiritual eyes. You can think of it as your third eye coming from your heart, as opposed to seeing through our five senses, which are going to send us in the wrong direction almost always in terms of being your best, doing your best, being your highest self, maximizing your potential. I want to ask if there are any questions, but I don't think that you could answer. And I don't think I could hear you if you did answer, actually. So I'm not going to ask you that, but I want you to sort of consider these principles the next time that you get into a fight with your partner, and think about having compassion for their pain. The goal is good communication. I have another video on YouTube on communication skills. Peeling the onion, it's called. It's on getting below the anger or withdrawal or addictions to what's really going on in a relationship. You might want to view that. So just some suggestions that might make your life a little more palatable and your relationships more attuned to the real world as opposed to the world of fear, which is the ego-based world. I hope this was helpful. It was a very, very brief primer. I expect and hope to be giving more talks on and distributing them through both my Facebook site as well as my YouTube site, my YouTube address rather. My website, by the way, is David S. as in Sam Wilde, WILDE.com. I have a blog at Relationships Coach. That's relationships plural coach.wordpress.com. And if you search me under my name, David S. Wilde, on Facebook, you'll find my Facebook page, or you can put in spiritual advice, spiritual relationship advice. Thanks for listening. It was a pleasure being inside your home with you tonight, and I hope you got something from this. Thanks. Take care.